my wife moved here when the houses were built in 1970. My family lived in Arthur Street. This side and this side were all houses, and they were very, very bad. No toilets inside, nothing. So, and because a tenement up here, the top of this street collapsed, it was called the penny tenement. Someone bought it, a man made money, but the whole thing collapsed. So when this collapsed and these became so deprivated, they decided to improve it and pull everything down. I thought they could have done more, but still. Yeah. There's a plaque. This is where the first deaf and dumb school used to be. So that's why it's called Dumbiedykes. And then they built this area. They could have done more. But the thing is, we need housing. So they moved a lot of people from the houses out of town into the centre again. Then they put a stipulation that you had to have lived here to be in this area. Well, I lived here. It's a nice area. You're in the middle of town. Back to the Parliament, next to the Palace. So I have lived here now. It's council rented. But there is one man who, people are greedy. They bought their house from the council. I'm going to sell my house and buy somewhere else, not realising the mortgage you have to take on. I resigned from the thing because I got the parking put in here, private parking, which he says, we don't, but it used to be free. This was a rat race. This time in the morning, people looking for parking spaces for town and that. So the bike park, people didn't want it. And now they say it's great for the children. But when you live here as long as I have, there are many old people who do not want change. You don't want change. They've been here so long. And this used to be Hollywood Square. This used to be Brown Street. Up here in Heriot Bridge used to be a barber, a baker, ice cream shop. It's all gone. When the brewery closed down, remember everyone who worked here in the early days was employed by the brewing company. This is all gone now. The brewery was the largest employer at one time in the whole of Edinburgh in Scotland. And the whole area improved. They're gone now. There used to be a bowling green here, a football park. It's all gone because people don't come out, the kids don't come out and play anymore. The bikes are a new thing up here.
Yeah. I like living here, especially because of the view of Arthur Seat. It's very nice, and it's nice area. And the car park, it's easy to park the car. It's because it's in city center, it's hard to park. I think most people who live here are students. I didn't really meet many of my neighbors, but only my neighbors next door. They were very nice. But I'm not sure if I will stay for. I could stay for long, but not forever here. Like I would prefer to move to a house or somewhere. I didn't see anything change. I didn't see any improvement. Just still the same. I've been here for 1 year and a half. I think 1 year almost. So yeah, 1 year and a few months, but nothing changed. Like there is no easy access park. There's only one access. Things has to be done by the landlord. I can't do it myself. But they told me if it's not emergency, they don't have to do it now. And I've been like few months waiting to finish the flooring, finish the flat, and nothing. They don't listen. They say it's Corona, we can't send anybody. Like I went to council when I arrived to Edinburgh to help with the accommodation, and they helped me with the accommodation at first with the agency, and I was on waiting list for council flat. I waited for 3 years. They gave me the keys. They told me everything is sorted. So I started to decorate the flat to move my stuff, and after I started to paint, I realized there's problem with electricity. And when I tried to remove the wallpaper, it was very old building, so the wall small rock come from with the wall, so they had to change the wall. But it took me like 5 more repairs and stuff, and because of there's problem with the electricity, they had to cut the wall and the ceiling to put new cables. And after I painted the flat, eventually they want to take the flat back, and they offer me another one because of these issues. And eventually they moved here. Like they offer me this instead. And this, I didn't have any issues with this flat. There was a crime in this flat where I moved. So there was a crime like a year ago, I think, before I moved, or more than a year. Somebody was murdered in this flat. Got my bike stolen last week. I had like bike. It's like old bike. It's not really worth it. I need to repair it. But so I didn't lock the bike. I just put it next to my door. And somebody stole my bike last week, and I found it 2 days after on the stairs because they realized it's not worth it.
Apart from screams that I've heard at night time that were indicative of a fight happening in flats around the building, I had to call the police once because we would think that a woman was beaten up on the floor above us. That was not the case though. There was one morning that I woke up and to go to work, and I noticed that there were traces of blood. Someone most likely was bleeding and came back to his flat, and he covered all the stairs with his blood and uh, footprints covered with blood. And that took 5 days to be cleaned. That was really annoying for us, that we had to avoid it. But yeah, it was, as I said, it can be quite dodgy sometimes, mostly with drug related issues. Before COVID, it's really hard, especially during the summertime when there's the big wave of students coming in, and also that coincides with the fringe that many landlords want to keep their flats for festival rents. I had a really hard time to actually find a flat. I remember I did 10 applications, and only one person came back to me. Also, the fact that I'm foreign, and sometimes the agencies ask for 6 rents or 5 rents in advance, even if I receive a stipend, and that's quite absurd, given the quality of the building and all the things I said before. And I found a much better and bigger flat in a much more expensive and safe area, uh, and I'm paying the same rent, which is pretty fair, I think. Fair reasons for someone to want to live.
Um, I saw some uh, weird characters walking around at night, but nobody ever bothered me. What I've noticed mostly was drug deals and some people walking around drunk and under the influence. But nobody was ever. I never felt threatened. And I had a private landlord. Um, he was lovely. My only issue with him was that he asked me to pay in cash for the rent, which I didn't completely comprehend the reason behind. But overall, from my experience in Eucra Gardens, I was very satisfied. And then I moved to another flat by the same landlord in Dumbiedykes Road, um, which again, um, the house had many issues. It was an older house. It was a 5 bedroom flat, but it was advertised as a 2 bedroom flat, and we again had to pay in cash.
This area can only improve if people wanted to improve. I wanted to improve. I mean, I'm on the end of my life. I mean, I'm 67 this year. I'm going that way. But I've been here for a long time, been in the committee. I was the chair of the committee. Got a lot of things done. But I just got fed up with people who want it but do not want to do anything about it. But that was because the older people. But the younger people who are coming in now want. We started to want a new. We're trying to get it started again. It was called Dumbiedykes Residents. We need it again because you've got to have a good residents association. You know, here, and if you can get a residents association again, it'll be good again. You know. What do you study?
Architecture.
Oh.